This is Amos Tarfa, and in this video, I'm just going to go over a few things in the Excellence in Education podcast. So this is an extension of LifeSTEM Academy out of Moorhead, Minnesota. This podcast goes over different topics in education. What are the different ways to improve education in America? And then how can we inspire students to excellence? How can we help students to flourish in the things that they've been called to? The first part of this episode, I just want to talk briefly about a few classes that we have available to students. I apologize that we did a broadcast, or I did a podcast recording yesterday and it got caught in the middle. So if you go watch that video, you can please have mercy. At the end there, it does cut off. Just wanted to go over a few things here for families. We do offer a K-12 homeschool hybrid program, as well as a 5-day school in Moorhead, Minnesota. And then we have a hybrid school in Grand Forks, North Dakota as well. Our students take English, math, history, science, as well as art and music, choir, and logic. Those are some of the courses that our students take. We use a mastery-based approach where we want every student to flourish in what they're learning. And so even though you might hear us say things like 4th and 5th grade classroom, honestly, what we're doing is we want to help those who are in 4th grade to make sure that they are doing well in the things they should know and more, right? We want them to go above and beyond any standard that society tries to set for them. But if a student needs more, we give them more. If a student needs to catch up, we help them catch up. So grade-based learning is we're just using it for now, but our goal long-term is to eliminate that and really just work on a mastery-based plan. So if somebody's 9 years old and they're very good at math and they're ready for calculus, we want that to be the norm. Let them take calculus. That's the plan. So anyways, we have a 4th and 5th grade classroom, kindergarten to 3rd grade classroom, 6th and 7th grade classroom, 8th to 10th grade classroom, and then an 11th and 12th grade internship program, I call it. The reason why I call it an internship program is because our 11th and 12th graders, especially in the Moorhead location, do not have to pay tuition. They actually attend for free if they are willing to serve the needs that are around them. This could be serving as a teaching assistant. This could serve as part of the team that helps in decorating the school and taking care of events at the school. But we provide them with academic support for all their subjects, but they do not have to pay tuition this year. So let us know if you have any questions. If you want to support the work that we're doing in education, you can use the link in the description. You could go to lifestemacademy.com and go to donate if you want to support the work we're doing. We're trying to transform education and inspire young people to flourish in their gifts that they've been given. So quickly again, we have the hybrid option and we have the 5-day option. We have math and math history, science and science history, character development, which is taught in chapel and just throughout the day, as well as electives such as French and music. So we have some flyers. If you want more information, let me know. And then for our 11th and 12th graders, they do get a lot of career preparation. So if you are in our 11th, 12th grade program, part of what we try to help you do is figure out some direction in your life and make sure you get opportunities to job shadow, make sure that you have all the opportunities you need to make an informed decision, a wise decision on the next step in your life. Okay, today I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, some good quick news items. We have, Stephen Meyer. Dr. Stephen Meyer was interviewed by Joe Rogan. You might have seen that already. And he's written a book called The Return of the God Hypothesis. I think it's a very interesting book, and I want to encourage you to check it out. So this is a book that goes over some history and philosophy of science. I love the history and philosophy of science. All our students get to do that. And so we teach a lot about the history of science. We want our students to understand, where did these inventions come from and why are they here? But we also want them to understand the nature of science. What is science and what are the limits of science? So I want to encourage you to check out The Return of the God Hypothesis. We're going to be doing more book studies in our bookstore, and that is one of the books that we're probably going to be discussing. As you can see, I have a few other books here. We highly recommend that students read good books. That's one of the best things you can do with your time, is to read good books. I have a biography of Katherine Johnson here. They made a movie about her called Hidden Figures. I have a book called Peak, which is a book about how to practice well. We teach our students to use deliberate practice, which is one of the reasons why we don't really have to have homework at our school, because if you know how to practice well, you don't need to go home and do busy work, which is what a lot of the homework ends up becoming for many of our students. Why would Amos say that? Why would he say that a lot of students are just doing busy work and homework is a lot of busy work? Well, here's an article that will prove that point. This article says, in our student, well, sorry, let me go back. There's a different article that says that about 40% of students do remedial math when they go to college. That's a very troubling trend. And I'm going to read more from this article, and then we'll discuss it as our main topic for today. But basically, remedial math is where you go into college and you literally do fractions and decimals and percents and basic equations again. So remember, you're in college. You did those things in 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and imagine repeating all those again in your freshman year. Imagine if you take your whole freshman year of college and you repeat all the math that you should have learned and mastered in middle school. That tells us that something is not right in our practice technique. Now, there is a part of what we do in American education that is detrimental to math education, and that is the idea of a 3-month summer break. A 3-month summer break is not good for anybody. It's not good for anybody, and we should encourage people to consider doing even 30 minutes a day. Yeah, you could be at your cabin, log in and watch a video for 30 minutes, do a few practice problems, and you just keep doing a little bit of that. Like, see, I'm even willing to renegotiate. I'm saying that even while you're at your cabin, you do the math, right? I'm not saying you have to come in and do the math. I'm saying you should make the time to do the math wherever you are. Just a little bit of math, a little bit of mental math, a little bit of equations. Make sure you're deliberately practicing your skills all through the summer. Let's look at this article about why putting off college math can be a good idea. I'm going to read part of the article, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts on the article and what we can do to deal better with this topic of college math and people getting into college. It says, putting off college math could improve the likelihood that students remain in college. This is from phys.org. It says, but that may only be true as long as students don't procrastinate more than 1 year. This is what colleagues and I found, that he mentions here. This is from Forest Lane. He says, this is what colleagues and I found in a study published in 2023 of 1,119 students at a public university for whom no remedial coursework was required during their first year. So these students have shown up to this public university. They're not doing remedial work, okay? And here's what we find. Enrolling in a math course during the first semester of college resulted in students being 4 times more likely to drop out. Although delayed enrollment in a math course had benefits in the first year, its advantages vanished by the end of the second year. In our study, almost 40% of students who postponed the course beyond a year did not attempt it at all and failed to obtain a degree within 6 years. Why does it matter? It is estimated that 17% of the population would likely experience high levels of math anxiety. Math anxiety can lead to a drop in math performance. It can also lead to avoiding majors and career paths involving math. So, our study fills the void in research on the effects of how soon students take college-level math courses. It also supports prior evidence that students benefit from a mix of coursework that is challenging yet not overwhelming as they transition to college. Let's talk about college transition for a second. So one of the things I always wanted to do when I was in college was I always wanted to have the textbooks for the next semester that I was going into so that I could review the material and then go into that semester ready to learn. Now, unfortunately, most of the summers I wasn't able to do that, not because I was studying other books. Unfortunately, I was just distracted. Back then, we didn't even have as much of smartphones, so it's probably distracted with, oh, what are we going to watch here? Oh, basketball game, NBA, whatever. So I was distracted. And if I had had time to study organic chemistry before going into the class of organic chemistry, I'm sure I would have done much better, right? There's an advantage, I believe, and we can talk about the neuroscience research. But what I will say is one of the things people need to learn in transitioning to college is get your books early, get notebooks early for what you're going to be studying, and start reviewing, at least look at the scope of the course. Some college professors actually have the syllabus on their website. You can download the organic chemistry syllabus, for example. You can know what you're going to be doing during the semester. Why don't we do more of that? Why don't we have students taking time to review the work before the semester? And it's not like you're working 168 hours a week, right? The whole time you're away, but well, that's 168 hours in a week. But like, it's not like you're working every single hour of the week. You sleep, you go to work. When you come home, I know some people are tired. They have very difficult jobs. But why don't you carve out an hour, a half hour to review for the fall, especially the classes that you think might be difficult? That's something I want to encourage students to do when it comes to preparing and transitioning to college coursework. So making time to review the material before the upcoming semester is always a good idea. Talking to people who just took the course and getting insight as to how to prepare is a good idea. Make sure that you do your best in your education. That is your job, essentially, right? That's one of your primary things you should be doing. So why do I think or what is my initial thought on people not taking college courses, college math right away? I think that it is one of those things that you should balance things out well. You're already going through a transition of being in a new place. So to take on a course that will take a lot of your time when you're trying to transition is not a good idea. I get that. But that can be dealt with you doing the proactive work of research before you start your semester. That's number one. Number two, when you're in college, if you do have to take those courses, those math courses, I highly recommend that you find a math lab, find a study lab, make sure you have your resources ready to go. And then once you hit a difficult topic or a topic that is causing you some trouble, go to that math lab right away. Start getting help right away. Don't wait till it's too late. And ultimately, yes, for some students, maybe it's best that they wait till their second semester, because the way you can think about it is when you go to college, it's like your system has been disturbed, right? And it takes time to recalibrate and stabilize. And so do your best not to have too many things that will cause a destabilization. Okay, a few more things from the article. We believe colleges need to better promote student confidence in math by examining how student success courses can reduce math anxiety. Student success courses provide students with study skills, note-taking skills, goal setting, time management, and stress management, as well as career and financial decision to make the support transition to college. What's interesting is every one of those things they're mentioning there, we actually teach it to our students at LifeSTEM Academy. We teach them how to handle their time well. We deal with topics like stress management. We have one of the faculty members in our Grand Forks location, Dr. Jean Gullux, who will be helping us with our mental health flourishing, I call it. We're going to be just brainstorming with her to build programs to support every student, whether they have ADHD or different, whatever challenge they have that we can help with. We want to give them the resources to succeed. And so LifeSTEM Academy students will learn how to manage time. They will learn how to manage stress. They'll learn how to handle different social situations. Because when they graduate from LifeSTEM Academy, we want them to be well-rounded individuals that can make an impact in society and make things right wherever they find themselves. So, although student success courses are a proven practice that helps students stick with college, rarely do these courses address students' fear of math. And that's where we teach math, math study skills. And there's a book called How to Master Mathematics. We teach our students that as well. We've written a curriculum ourselves called Tools for Mastering Mathematics, which is a study guide, a path to help people learn how to do math well. This comes with our inspirational math sequence. And so basically in this kit, there's math history, math study skills, math applications, and the goal is that we guide our students to math excellence as they see where it applies in their lives. Students are at the greatest risk of dropping out of college during their first year. That's part of what the study shows. Advisors, or this is one of the studies they're talking about. Advisors play a crucial role in providing students with resources for success. This includes recommendations of what courses to take and when to take them. More research is also needed about how advisors can effectively communicate the impact of when math is taken by students. In my video on fixing American education, I talked a lot about mentoring, the importance of mentoring. Students need to have mentors. When I think about Oxford and Cambridge, which we went to, and this is, we went to Oxford, Cambridge, and Edinburgh. That's where I got this sweatshirt from. We were teaching our students the history and philosophy of science, or trying to teach them that, and we did a journey to Oxford and Cambridge and Edinburgh. Next year, God willing, we're doing a trip to Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. So we try to get our students to see places where, the origins of Western civilization, places that have given rise to some of the best universities in the world, the oldest universities. And so we do all this, and we study the universities themselves. Like, why is Oxford one of the best universities? I'm going to be talking about that in a series of videos later on, as I bought a book on the history of Oxford, so I'll talk more on that later. But why is Oxford one of the best universities in the world? Well, it's because Oxford University prioritizes this importance of having like a tutor and then a group of students who are working under that tutor. So at LifeSTEM Academy, we call that cohorts. We have cohorts that have someone who oversees the cohort. These cohorts meet during chapel for some of our chapel meetings where they discuss, how are you doing? How is life? What can you be growing in? What are skills that you need to work on? These are things that that need to be discussed regularly. The students need to be reviewing those skills and those things. And we're teaching them how to build community. And then these cohorts can serve in different capacities. I believe that one of the areas we're going to really grow in, God willing, this year is in service. How can we serve our communities? How can we serve our neighborhoods? How can we serve our families well? That is one area we want our students to grow in. And I want to encourage every student out there in America and beyond to grow in serving others. Because by serving others, you will find joy and happiness and excitement for life. Because it is better to give. It is more blessed to give than to receive. So that was a lot to chew on. Today's episode is talking about how to help college students transition well. If you're watching this and you're a college student, please subscribe, because you're going to be getting a lot of advice and insight on how to flourish in education. Feel free to send me any questions you want answered. And if you're a parent watching this, I want you to know that we are going to have opportunities for questions and answers. Please stay tuned, and I'm going to be doing a tour. I call it the Highway 10 tour, but it also involves going to Grand Forks. But basically, I'm going to be doing a tour through a few cities where I'm just talking about education. What are the problems in education? Which there are two major problems. I'll say this and then I'll land the plane. The first major problem is that we have a lot of bad stuff being taught in many schools in America today. A lot of bad history. We need our students to read good books. We need them to read Thomas Sowell. We need them to read Dr. Stephen Meyer. We need them to read books about Katherine Johnson and George Washington Carver and Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass. They need to be reading good books, and they need to make sure that they allow those books to encourage them to be better students, to be better people in that regard. I'm talking about just in terms of being a person of character. If we want to talk about the issue of salvation, that's a different topic. And of course, the Bible talks about that in Ephesians 2. We don't get saved by good works, but when we get saved, we do good works, right? So that's another topic I discussed in my video yesterday. Now, I've written a book called Why Do I Exist, which is on my livingsensibly.org website. You can find the book under the books tab, and it's right there. It's free, and it talks a lot about philosophy of science, life, faith, and what it means to be a Christian. So that's all there. I just wanted to distinguish. That is an important piece. But what I'm talking about in terms of being good people is that I want our students to read books that help them be people of character. Like when you read Frederick Douglass, when you hear the things he said, when you hear people like George Washington Carver, Booker T. Washington, and they tell you about the importance of moving forward and forgetting the past and moving ahead. Wow, that's inspirational. And you know one thing Americans forget? I'm sorry, quick tangent. But you know one thing Americans forget? They forget that the evils that happen in all, like they think about America and they think, oh, America is evil because of A, B, C, D. But they forget about the evils that happen in every country of the world. Every country has a story. But one thing that makes America unique is how America has allowed for freedom on so many levels. There's still slavery in many parts of the world today, especially in North Africa and in parts of Africa. There's still people that are essentially living as slaves in different capacities. They can't just leave. A lot of them are stuck. And we're not, the question is, what are we doing about helping in places where there's slavery? What are we doing about helping in places where there's serious challenges and problems? By God's grace, we will do our part. We will support them in any way we can with math resources, with education resources, and getting people to be liberated, to be able to support their families through getting well educated and then learning how to get jobs and keep jobs. Now, that's a different topic, but I just wanted to say that as Americans, we have to be careful and not focus so much on just America and American history, but also just look at world history. Look at the shortcomings of humans in all of history and learn that America has come a long way and we're doing better. Unfortunately, there are people now that are bringing new chains with all the bad stuff being taught, with all the stuff that points away from the Bible, that points away from truth. That stuff is putting people in bondage. And it's funny that some of the people that say that they want to fight for freedom are actually putting people in bondage. So let's examine our hearts and let's make sure that we are really going towards freedom, true freedom that can ultimately only be found in Christ. Okay, so we need people to prepare for the college years. I get it. We need people to, get their study skills in order. I would love to do more discussions on that, and I will do that. But I talked about, Europe and Western civilization. We went to Oxford. We learned from them. But one thing I will say is, if you're interested in the Germany, Austria, Switzerland trip, please send an email, especially if you're in the Fargo, Moorhead, Grand Forks area, so that we can begin to prepare, so we can get all the details figured out. So we're going to have a series of meetings. That trip is going to be at the end of April, early May, most likely. So we want to get the dates down, get the tickets, and proceed from there. Thank you for watching this episode. I hope that it has been informational in terms of just telling you some of the programs I'm involved in, telling you about the issue with college math and what problems people have there, which is sometimes caused by too much change and trying to adjust. So those are some of the things that I'll be talking about on this podcast, Education and Faith. It's all about excellence in education. How can I help every student to flourish in their educational journey? How can I help them have direction for life? And how can we provide opportunities for every family? So please, if there's any way we can support your family, whether it's by offering electives or clubs that we will be offering, please reach out. Let us know what clubs, what things you want. What support would you like, especially for homeschool families? What support would you like? Would you like to see more soccer clubs, more pickleball courts? Let us know. We have a pickleball court at our school. Let us know if you want more events like that so we can build around the things that will be a blessing to your family. We look forward to hearing from you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Facebook, and all the other platforms so you can keep up with what we have going on. Thank you so much for following and watching. Have a blessed day.